which we've been able to incorporate into our final submittal. And what we were really pleased about was that every one of the planning commissioners expressed support for the project, made positive comments about the project and the need for senior affordable housing. So with that, I'm joined here today, along with board members, with John Wyrow, our project manager, and I'm going to turn it over to John for some of the details of our project.
Thank you very much for taking the time to spend a little bit of time with us today. As Victoria said, we've been working on this for a while, and we really think that we've come a long way from where we started in terms of developing a plan. It has undergone change as a result of input that we've received from the city, from the neighbors, and we continue to work with our neighbors because as we are working with you, our neighbor, but more importantly, you are our partner. I mean, this project would not happen if the church did not believe in it. And it is only happening because you do. And I'm fortunate that the Orinda Senior Housing Foundation has the financial wherewithal to make it happen, because these things normally require a great deal of public money. And in this case, there isn't. It's all coming from the foundation and the church. So what you see here is the project as you were coming up, and here's, right about in here is where the community garden is now. So there'll be a walkway up there, and the building, as you look in profile, here's the church here coming up. Then you have it's called 5 stories, but it's really deceiving because it steps up the hill. So while it's 5 here, and here's the back of it, it's 3 stories. So the height is not as overburdensome as one might imagine. It's 5 feet taller than Monteverde, to give you some sense of height. And it has a garage, has 3 levels of residential, and each level has an outdoor patio area, garden, little sitting area. The plan you see here is basically looking at the front elevation without any trees. You'll never see this because there are trees there now, and trees are going to be added. So when that occurs, it's going to look more like this, where you have the foliage in place. We had some discussions about color, and there were some input from some of our neighbors about the colors that we were working with. We've changed the colors in response to that. So this gives you a sense of the palette and materials that are used for the building. And then also we've got a picture here of the landscape plan, which takes and puts in a community garden here. Right now there's the community garden over in this area. It gets a lot of shade, and it's for Orinda Senior Village. What we're proposing to do is to build a new garden for Orinda Senior Village next to their building, so they don't have to walk over to here, and provide adequate access for the people who live here to use their garden right here. And you'll see there's stairways, walkways, handicap access, and then also there was concern about Miraloma's trail. It was something I hadn't even heard of until we started on this, and found that it is something that the community supports. So we've provided for the trail to come down, run along the property line here, tie into the stairs here, and then people can walk on down and on out. So that trail will continue to exist. There's 1 and 2 bedroom units, 700 to 900 square feet. Victoria talked about the rents. It's really, these amenities are wonderful. Each unit will have its own washer and dryer. Each unit will have its own AC unit, so there won't be a lot of AC units sitting up on the roof. There will be solar, and there will be the garden, some work areas, some community rooms, and then a big roof deck up on the 5th floor And I've got, we can flip the plan around and if somebody's interested in learning more about that, just to take people outside, because we have a wonderful climate here, and looks to take advantage of that and the views as you look to the west. So the process, I might just make a quick mention of that. As Victoria said, we've been working with the city. We've had a study session with the Planning Commission, and I'm working to get the application in this week, but it'll be no later than next week. We have the attorneys dealing with some issues that attorneys need to deal with. But as you can see, we think we've got a level of detail here that allows the city to make some decisions on it. But it's going to require a full load of approvals. It's going to require a general plan amendment. It's going to require a rezoning to medium density residential senior. It's going to require a use permit. It's going to require design review. Let's see, that's enough. But the way the process is set up, it all gets bundled together, and what we're really looking at is the project going through. So it sounds worse than it really is, I hope. Again, as I say, we've had a good working relationship with staff, had a couple of good meetings with the planning director and the city manager, and everybody has really been behind it. As a part of our community outreach, as I said, we've been working with our neighbors, the single-family folks up on Watchwood, on Mira Loma, and always have trouble with this street. It's just down over the hill here. La Plaza. But we're also reaching out beyond that. Victoria and I made a presentation to the Rotary Club. We'll make presentations to other groups that are interested. We're setting up a website. We'll get everybody access, the address for that. So if you want to just see what's going on and how it's going, you can just go to the website and get an update on where we are in the process. I think that's going to be a really useful tool. So with that, I mean, we know what our goal is to carry out the mission of the church, the mission of Orinda Senior Village and the senior housing, to provide some more affordable senior housing for our community, as we do need it. And this will be a wonderful addition, we think, to that housing stock. I say I could go on for a while, but I'd rather just answer questions.
John, I feel like I should be able to answer this, but I'm not sure I can accurately, so it might take a few of us here. Can you just remind us about the mix of the units, the number of units, mix of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, the square footage roughly of these units, and then the range of rents? Because as we came to understand it, there are some that are like more low affordable and some that are quote unquote affordable based on Contra Costa standards. So it will have a mix. It's certainly higher rents than there is at Orinda Senior Village, which is government ultra low. But can you give us some of those stats?
I can give you some of them. It's 52 units, and there are 32 one bedrooms, 20 two bedrooms. They range from from 700 to about 900 feet. The rents are based on the affordable rents that are set by the county as far as income is concerned. And so what we have is a range of, according to the numbers I have, about 900 up to 2,200 for if you're at 100% of median. And there's a split though. Most of the units are for medium, not the high. And let's see, I don't have those numbers in front of me today, but they'll be on the website.
Yeah, my recollection is that the 55% of the units, I believe, are at the low income category. About half of the remainder, so 20-something, are at the very low, and then the remainder, which is 20%, something like that, are at the what we call moderate or the median level, which is really at 100% of the average income in Contra Costa County. we don't, because we're a nonprofit, we are bound by those numbers. We don't set our own numbers or our own rents. If you're considered a nonprofit that provides affordable housing, then you're bound by the government numbers. So whatever they are, and they change somewhat from year to year, right? Whenever the government calibrates that, then the rents change accordingly. But that's essentially the breakdown right now. Most in the middle, about a quarter below and a quarter above. When I say the middle, I mean low income, extremely low income, and moderate income.
Victoria, for church members, the calculation, if you want to see those calculations, they were in the FAQ that we distributed previously. We got the numbers from Victoria. And if you do not still have that, let me know and I will email you another set.
Thank you.
Yeah, Karen, does the church still have to give another approval, or have we completely signed on? I know we were going to have a contract.
Yeah.
Give me your approval to pursue it.
Yeah.
I have a few questions, yes.
Okay, I'm going to take my mask off. It's hard to breathe and talk at the same time. Yes, the church, we got approval to negotiate, and we negotiated that agreement based upon the terms. And I think, Kurt, when did you signed it, I think? Was it?
Must have been 3 months ago.
Yeah, May or June, something like that. So that is moving forward, and the governance moving forward is really with the 5 board members from OCC who are on the OSHV, OSHF, sorry, board. So, Karen, what are your other questions?
So the church doesn't have to approve anything?
The church has fully approved everything at this point in time, yes.
And I was wondering if we could have the website again. But also, the last question is, when can people start getting on the list? I know people
Since it hasn't been approved to be built yet,
will we know right away as soon as there's a list or something?
I don't, you're the first person who's asked that question, but that gives me great hope that we're farther along in the process. We will find that out, but we expect that the city approval process will take several months into next year, probably. And the website, do we know the website yet?
No, as I say, the website is being set up as we speak, and we should have an address in the next couple of days that I need to run by Victoria and the foundation board to get their okay. And once that we have that, we'll shoot it out as best we can, as widely as we can.
The church has a newsletter. What is the office notice they could tell?
Yeah, Karen, we can bring that.
Put the website into the
church
church newsletter. Perfect.
Yeah, just let me know, or any of the other folks too.
Great.
Very impressive.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How many parking spaces for the total project and how many are underground?
They're all underground, with the exception of one handicap space, which is outside. And it's secured, so there will be able to be safe from anybody who's wandering by. And the parking ratio is 1/2 to 1. So we have 26 parking spaces.
One other question, the lease agreement, when would that start generating lease payments? And generally describe what the lease agreement provides. Victoria, would you repeat the question, please?
So the question is, when will the lease between the foundation and the church go into effect and start generating income? And what it describes? Well, what it describes is about 75 pages that I'm not sure I can describe. But essentially what will happen is once we get approval from the city, then we are poised to begin demolition. So once we begin that work, we've signed a memorandum option, lease option. We'll sign the actual, and the actual lease is attached to that as an exhibit. We'll sign that lease, it will start, and the lease payments will start immediately. So as soon as we get the city approval, basically, to move forward.
I'll do my best to summarize the key things. So once construction starts, they have to get approval. Once construction starts, we will get some payments for the demolition of the cottage, because we will not have use of the cottage once construction begins. And that will be the lease, that will be a payment stream once, and it's basically tiered at what a 2-bedroom apartment in the upper range what that rent would be for that time period. And construction may be a couple of years, something, I don't know.
Well, we would be hopeful that we might be able to late 22, early 23.
Would begin construction, and then it would take.
Good question.
But
I'll add to our list of points for the.
Yeah, I think a project of this magnitude is not going to take 5 months. It's going to take, in the, measure it in years, and then once the building is operational, we have an agreement, which is that we get sort of an advance on our share, and we also have use of one 2-bedroom unit in the building, and there's considerations if we don't use that, how we get reimbursed and how we manage that. That's what was in a lot of the discussion. And then there's also, at the end of the year, it's a calendar year, we true up actual expenses and rent and determine sort of what the share is, and we expect to get an additional payment at that point in time, which would be 120 days, I believe, from the end of the year. So at the end of April, we'll be getting an additional payment. So we get sort of like a monthly retainer, and then we get a true up. Kurt or Gail, you were intimate with it. Are there any other salient terms that I might be missing?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that these people are sharing with us half of their net income
Yeah,
is coming to the church.
yeah, it's half.
So it's an amazing deal and going to be very, very beneficial financially for the church.
Yeah,
And rather than wait until the end of each year to figure out what that half of net income is, they've agreed to advance us monthly money. So we get money in advance, and then every year we will get half the net income. It's just an amazing project.
yeah. Thank you, Gail. Hopefully people heard that. We get half of it. Jean?
After you get city planning approval to begin construction and all the plans are approved with no questions, how soon is that going to happen, do you anticipate?
Well, the biggest question about the process is what sort of environmental review is going to be required? Will it require an environmental impact report? Can it be done with a negative declaration after an environmental study? And that will determine that plus or minus 6 months. So without it, the process could go through and we could be finished with the process next summer, ideally. But again, it just really depends on how well the project is received. It has been received very well, not only by everyone we've shared it with, including, I would say, the Watchwood folks and the Miraloma folks have been understanding about this, but the community is clearly behind it. And with that, I think that we will be, optimistic that I am, successful, and hopefully not have to jump through too many hoops.
We still retain the land that we're renting it, or are we, some of the partners, right?
I'm sorry.
We don't lose the land.
Yeah, it's a land lease.
Okay.
Yes,
Are we also sort of partners as far as the income?
yes. So,
Loss and keep the loss?
We create a separate legal parcel, and that parcel is what you lease to the foundation.
Yeah, and yes, if there, there can be variations, and we are subject to those variations. You also realize that the OSHF board is majority of Orinda Community Church members. So one thing that I think is a really important thing is our voting and the role of those board members, and I have a deep gratitude for the work that they are doing now and will do in the future. And I think that that's always been an important role, but it takes on an additional fiduciary role with the church moving forward.
Well, and that caretaker unit is the 2-bedroom. It's a unique unit. It's the nicest one in the building.
Can I just ask, because we've been intimately involved with OSB, because we've been intimately involved with OSB, I wanted everybody who's been on the OSB board to please stand up.
I will stay here as long as you have questions, or if you want to take a look at the plans. And yes.
Yeah, one more question. I know this is going to create more traffic up Irwin Way. Has any thought or any requirement necessary for altering the current roadway or parking scheme currently present on church property?
Short answer, no. Longer answer is that there will be, I'm sure, a parking/traffic study done as a part of the review of the project. So that some alternative solutions would most likely come out of that. Yes, ma'am.
Are there interior hallways, and what kind of lighting will take effect when there's a power outage?
I have on the back of one of these plans a sample layout of the floors. Oh, I went. So there's an interior hallway that runs through, and then the units are around that hallway. This is this is the 3rd and 4th floor, and the 5th is very similar, just that changes a little out here. But that gives you a sense that, and the lighting, there will of course be the emergency lighting as a part of the plan. But they've tried to create as much natural light as possible, opening it up at the ends of the hallways. Yes?
Did you say that it's going to be solar? Is that going to provide for the whole building?
There will be solar. I'm not sure just how much it will impact the individual units, but there will be solar up there to take care of at least the common areas. But as I say, there will also be the individual heating and air conditioning, as well as washer and dryer in each unit. So they'll be pretty independent.
So let me just welcome I am a public member on the board. Also David Cronin and Bonnie Casriel are 2 other public members on our board. The 4th public member is Kathy Cutler, and she's traveling out of state for this month. So are there any other questions that we can answer? All right, well, please come up and
Yeah, and I just again want to say thank you for the partnership with OSHF, and for, it took a lot of years and a lot of creativity to pull this together, and an incredible amount of dedication moving forward. I know it's just a lot of investment on a lot of people in this room and others' time to bring this to fruition. I think it's going to add to the community, add to the church, and be a great project. So let us know how we can continue to help.
So I